How are you? That's fantastic. I'm not sure that I can think of a day that's more appropriate to give thanks. If in fact there is a day upon which there's more appropriate than any other day, quite frankly, can I just be real frank with you? Can I just be real with you for a minute just before I get into the lesson? Anytime and any day, any moment that it hits your mind to say thank you to God is a good time or a good day for which to give thanks. It's nice, it's good, it's appropriate if you can give thanks on the morning when you've come through your going through. That's always good. But sometimes it's just important to just remind yourself to say thank you to God even as you are going through what it is you're about to get through. Sometimes it's your thank you that reminds you that even though you're going through the storm, God covers you like an umbrella. Sometimes it's your thank you that helps you to see that though at this moment you might be down and your relationships might be breaking apart, there's something within you that keeps saying to you, don't worry about it, child. Just like I was with you before, I'll be with you right now. And every time you say thank you, stuff starts to shift in your atmosphere. I wish I had one or two people in this room who had been through something and who found it necessary because of what God did to help you get through. I just need one or two who understands how good God is. Just one or two. It doesn't have to be the whole room, just one or two who understand that you didn't get through on your own, but God all by himself brought you through and placed you on the other side. I got one or two witnesses, one or two. And remember, where one or two are gathered together in my name, I am right there in the midst of them. And when God is in the midst, miraculous things start to happen. Don't you mess with me on this morning. I feel real good today. Come on, let's go. Let's see if we can get into it. I got a lesson here. Look, they're trying to get me. I won't let them get me. They're trying to get me. They know what gets me. They're trying to get me. I won't let them get me. I got some stuff to do, and I don't even have much time as I usually have. So I can't mess around with them all day. You say, yes, I can? Yes, Lord. Thank you. How you doing today? You good? You good on this morning? It's good to see you. If you are the guest of someone, make some noise. Make some noise if you're someone's guest. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for being here. So now, just on the count of three, I want you to say the name of the person who invited you. Don't worry about it. No. Don't concern yourself with how I am going to know who invited you. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. On the count of three, I want you to just shout out the name of the person who invited you or the people who invited you. It may have been a whole family who invited you. On the count of three, shout out the name of the folk who invited you. 1, 2, 3. Look at you. And I did not say stand up. You mess around act like it's a Steve Harvey concert. You gonna get put out of the church. No, I'm just kidding. Somebody, now listen, my folks know that they really have to pray for me. Somebody's supposed to be praying because you cannot stand up on Sunday morning when you ask folks to come to church and then give a good guess. What's your name, sweetie? Kylie? Kaylee? And give Kaylee a hard time. Bad pastor. All right, let's go. What'd you say? All right. Yeah, focus. So what I want to do, because it's on my paper right here, everyone who is the guest of the person whose name you just shouted, next time I want you to be my guest, okay? That's how it works. So next time when you come and I ask you to shout the name of the person who invited you, I want to make sure that you're shouting my name, all right? Let's hear it for our praise sensations and our temple ensemble. Fantastic, 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 fantastic. So here we go. Now we're beginning a new series. This is the first lesson sermon in the series for the April series. And the theme for the month of April is We Are the Champions. We are the champions. Say that with me. We are the champions. Jesus, the resurrection story of Jesus, points out very clearly and specifically that though there are times wherein we find ourselves down, when we understand who we are and whose we are, the situations, conditions, and circumstances that might encapsulate us cannot conquer us. They cannot keep us limited in any way, shape, or form. But it is important that champions be reminded of who they are. It sometimes occurs to a champion to forget about the many victories that they have had in previous days and times. Yes? It is not uncommon. It is not uncommon for a conqueror or for a victor to somehow think or find themselves as a victim. That's not unusual. The baddest and the biggest and the boldest have at some point or another doubted who exactly they were. But what I want to do today is really just remind you, and I want to encourage you to say yes again to the champion that is within you. As we begin to just look at the resurrection narrative, there are a few things about this story that we see in Jesus, and understand that just as we read earlier, Jesus is always encouraging us to do the things that he did. Jesus, I don't believe, when he was working through his resurrection, wanted himself to be the only one who was experiencing a resurrection. I think according to his ministry, we can find that when someone was bound by blindness, he would say to that person, "You should have sight." When someone was limited by leprosy, we would find that Jesus is saying to them, "Be clean, be free, go forth, be fruitful, and multiply." It is not the way of Jesus to be the only one who does what Jesus did. I say that to you within the context of the resurrection because, quite frankly, just as this is Easter Sunday and as we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, I want to encourage each and every one of you to be about celebrating your resurrection. What am I saying? I'm saying if you have not yet won the game of life, don't give up. What am I saying? I'm saying if your life is not working for you just yet, remember that you might only be in halftime of the game. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you that you cannot count the win or the loss in the first or second inning of your game. You have to understand that there is more reserve power in you. And so what I want to really teach you or share with you today is how it is you tap into the power that is yours as a champion. Are you with me? Here we go. So when we understand, say understand. When we understand the nature of God's creation, the nature of God's creation is always complying with the yes to the resurrection. The nature of God's creation is complying with the yes of the internal resurrection that exists within it. Let me show you what I mean. I'm confident that many of you have noticed that in your front or backyard, your grass is starting to turn green now. Yes? As you see the grass turning green, understand that that is the resurrecting power of life. And it is transitioning or transforming the dead and dormant grass into the life and vibrant green color that you enjoy walking on so much in the summertime. But watch this. Unlike you and I, the grass does not say no to the resurrection. The grass is in harmony. The grass is in sync. The grass is in tune with the upward progressive move of the Holy Spirit. And so the grass simply says, as the season shifts, that's a good word to write down. As the season shifts, the grass simply says yes. Again, because last year, about this time, the grass was in a dormant state, and it could have said, no, God, I want to stay brown and brittle. But the grass didn't say that. The grass does not say that. The buds that are beginning to pop up through the dirt in your yard is saying yes. Even even some weeds at this point are saying yes to the upward progressive move of the whole Spirit of God. But it amazes me, and I find it interesting, that the highest form of God's creation is not always inclined to say yes. Sometimes because we think a thought, and because we start upon a certain course, if we get lost in our thing, we can find ourselves saying no to the resurrection and yes to whatever our agenda was. Are you still with me? But here is what I want to encourage us to do. I want to encourage us to say yes to the way that God's creation responds to the opportunity for resurrection. There is a book that's popularly titled, The Answer to How is Yes. See, many of us get on the other side of the how before we even say yes. Here is one thing I want you to know about yes. Put this in your notes. Yes opens up new possibilities and opportunities for you. Yes creates new opportunities for you. Just like no shuts down some doors. When your child asks you, can I get those new Jordans? And you say no. That means that's the end of that conversation. But if the child said, can I get the new Jordans or the new LeBrons? And you said yes, that opens up a whole new gateway for a new experience. Am I right about it? So here, now that's a lazy yes right there. We're only 5 minutes in it. Don't leave me. Don't leave me yet. Don't leave me yet. So here it is. I just want to hit you with three things. I want you to say yes to power. I want you to say yes to principle, and I want you to say yes to God's purpose. Can you do that? Yes. So let me just walk you through how it is we build up to that. When you say yes to power, you are saying yes to truth. Every time you tap in to the truth, you tap into the awareness and the resurrection that exists within you. When you say yes to truth, you are saying yes to power. Now, here is something that the resurrected champion must always remember. You have power even though it may seem like you don't. You are more powerful than you think. You might think, you might think that you are limited by the situations, conditions, and circumstances that are around you. In very much the same way we see in the Jesus narrative, we find him in the tomb on the other side of the stone and celebrate it because of his death. But watch this. When you are connected to truth and you are connected to power, not even death can keep you down. When you understand who you are and whose you are, there is a different kind of way that you move, even though you're on the wrong side of the stone. The stone might be the very thing that's keeping you from expressing your power. But when the stone is moved out of the way, what you got to remember is just like there is an entrance to the problem, there's an exit out of the problem. Just like there's an entrance to the tomb, there's an exit out of the tomb. The only question as a powerful being that you have to ask yourself is, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you had enough of being down? Have you had enough of celebrating death? Have you had enough of celebrating not enough? And are you ready to get up so that you can get down? When you connect to truth, you connect to the real realization of who you are. Sometimes we're just confused about who we are. Sometimes we just don't know any better. Sometimes we've just never been told that we are made in the image and after the likeness of God. Here is what I like about Jesus. Jesus knew who he was. Jesus was not tripping about who he was. You could not pull up on Jesus and pretend like he didn't know who he was. Jesus knew who he was and whose he was. So much so that if you said to Jesus, we're going to tear something down, Jesus says in a couple days, I'm going to build it back up anyway. It doesn't matter if you tear it down. It doesn't matter what you think about me. It doesn't matter what you say about me. You can try to tear me down, but because I know who I am and whose I am, I'm going to build me right back up. But you must have power. But you must have power. You must have power in order to be able to build, in order to be able to do, in order to be able to accomplish. And you can't afford to give your power away by studying the darkness. See, the time in the tomb and the darkness in the tomb might represent the elongated amount of time that you have been sitting with and studying your problem. See, many of us know a lot about our problem. The question is, how much do you know about the solution? See, in math class, they don't give you a lot of credit for the problem. As a matter of fact, they will give you the problem. What universal awareness expects from you is to know how to tap into the solution. And when you can tap into the mind of God and let the mind of God help you think a new thought, the new thought that it gives you can help you come up with the answer to the problem that you experienced in the darkness. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so it's interesting whenever the champion finds her or himself out of sync with the truth about themselves, that once they reconnect to the victor in them, they find themselves now reconnected with the ability to cope with that anxiety. When you reconnect as the champion that you are, you find yourself reconnecting to the mental toughness, to the resiliency, to the tenacity. See, nobody said that you're not gonna die, but only the strong survive the death. Yes? So say yes to what? Say yes to power. Next, I want you to say yes to principle. I want you to say yes to principle. You with me? Yes. Say yes to principle. When I'm saying say yes to the principle, I'm asking you to say yes to the resurrection of the raising up of the whole person that is within you. Yes to the resurrection of the raising up of the whole person. I talked about it briefly a moment ago. You might see yourself as how you show up here today, but I have got news for you. You are so much bigger than the challenges that you're going through. You are so much bigger than the tomb that's trying to keep you in death. You are so much bigger than your bills and then your relationships, and then your job. You're bigger than your business. You are bigger than everything that shows up outside of you, because the stuff that shows up outside of you is only a reflection of what's going on inside of you. But you cannot allow yourself to be mesmerized by the stuff that you create. See, sometimes we create stuff and we start to think that we are the stuff that we create. You are not limited by that. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can mess with me today. I don't know if you can get with me. I don't know if you can get with me, but I'm going to give it to you. You showed up, so I have to assume that you showed up to get it. So here it is. Here is the truth about you. You are made in the image and after the likeness of God. As a matter of fact, everything that God has in God's self, God put in you, and that's the truth. So when you say yes to the principle that you are just like God, you are made in the image and after the likeness of God. God knew that you would need the best in you for what you were going to go through. God couldn't afford to skimp on what he put in you, because God knew you were going to have to work through some stuff. God knew that as you connected to the truth about you, the true champion that you are, that anytime you are a champion, sometimes you have to prove it in the ring. There is no such thing as claiming yourself as a champion and not going through the rigors of the sport. You don't just get to say that I'm great and you haven't done anything great. Yeah? You don't just get to say, follow me. You got to do something that's worthy of following. You have to prepare and present something that's worthy of emulation. This is why when we talk about the resurrection of Jesus the Christ, it's because that is something that's worthy of following. Whenever you find yourself down, you know that the resurrecting power is within you to help you get right back up. And so I want to encourage you to say yes to the principle. I know stuff shows up. But I want to encourage you to say yes to the truth about you. Now, you may have never heard this before. You may have only heard that you're going to be just like your daddy. No, I'm serious. That may be somebody's prophecy or proclamation for you. You may have heard that you can never be X, Y, or Z. That may be somebody else's proclamation for you. But you have to remember that somebody else's limitation does not have to be your proclamation. You don't let anybody put a label on you. You don't let anybody define you. If God said you are made in my image and my likeness, that's the only definition you need. So you have to be willing to say yes to your power. You have to be willing to say yes to the principle. And then I just want to encourage you to say yes to God's purpose. Yes to God's purpose. Saying yes to God's purpose begins to move away the stone. And as I said previously, the stone is always something that is within you. The stone is always something that is within you. The stone is never something that's outside of you. The stone that covers your tomb is always something within you. It doesn't matter if you're Jesus or Lazarus. The stone that keeps you entombed is something that's within you. And so I just want to, as we talk about and look at God's purpose for you, I just want to encourage you to identify what your stone is. Is your stone anger? And when you get angry, do you think that it's somebody else who's making you angry? If you do, I just want to share with you, they're not making you angry. They're only showing you where the anger is within you. If your stone is some attitude or some habit, if your stone is the inability or the unwillingness to forgive, if your stone is resentment, if your stone is guilt, shame, or blame, I just want to encourage you to connect to God's purpose, because when you connect to God's purpose, it starts to move away the stone. And if you will address your stone, you won't have to worry about mine. Because all of us have a big stone. And each and every one of us need to devote all of our time to rolling away the stone that is in our respective life, in our respective demonstration. Don't spend your time fixing nobody else. Don't spend a moment's time resurrecting anybody else. Spend your time rolling back your stone. And then once you have rolled back your stone, you can come out from the tomb resurrected. And when you come out resurrected, you will find that you can resurrect your children. When you come out resurrected, you will find that you can resurrect yourself. When you come out resurrected, you can find that you will resurrect your family. When you come out resurrected, you will find that you can resurrect your community. When you allow yourself to be resurrected, you'll find that you can resurrect your church. You can resurrect your city. You can resurrect your country. You can resurrect your block. You can resurrect your school when you connect to the truth and say yes to your power, yes to your principle, and yes to God's purpose for you. You can be the resurrection. God bless you.